Original picture that I did, whānau. I did this, so you can see it's got words on this one, and and it didn't put in the extra pictures of the clouds and the lightning.
It was like, no, because you song there.
But anyway, so that's my pikitia. Ka pai? So I wanted it to sort of depict a journey. So when we look at I'll put that one over there. So when we look at the pikitia, I wanted a metaphor to describe a journey, because that's what it's been pretty much. This year, the Matatini Ora, it has been a journey. Even though we did this back in 2023, that was that journey. And we've been on another journey this year, and so we can see our waka over here. It's not on the beach. It's not on the beach because that was 2023. We've learnt a few things since then. We've launched out. We're not quite in the deep. We're still close to the shore. Like you can see our four members paddling the waka. There's Mato Anaru, there's me, there's Wha Louise, and there's Mark Winnie. We're paddling this waka. We've been paddling this waka.
I'm the best.
Nice.
You're at the kei o te waka matua because you're the rangatira for us. And so I just wanted something that was going to depict this journey. The sun was symbolic of, because the 6.2 asked you to talk about areas for future learning and development. So that's sort of up there. Eh? Areas for future learning and development. We can't quite see the tree for some reason, but there's some trees up over here. Because you're also asked to talk about your strengths and your highlights. Your strengths and your highlights, and we'll see those as we go through, and I'll start to unpack the picture a little bit more. The front of the waka, this part over here, the tauihu, the front is talking about the key learnings and reflections looking forward. So where we're heading. The taurapa, or the back of the waka, is talking about our key learnings and the reflections looking back. The rock, there. The rock over here, this talks about the challenges, because there have been some challenges. I know there's been challenges for you guys as akonga, but there's also been challenges for us as kaiako too. Things for us to navigate. And like I said, for some reason it didn't bring up the clouds and the lightning, but those were the surprises. There's been some surprises along the way too. Alright, so that's my picture anyway. And so just to sort of break it down and unpack it a little bit more.
Your HDMI came out.
Pull it over here so I can see a bit better.
Nice.
So I've given it a bit of a title. Yeah. Hey, so navigating the river of my Matatini Ora journey. Okay. One thing about the awa is that, I don't know, but I have an affinity to water for some reason. When we were living here in Rotorua, I was always going down to the awa. That was my place to go when things were happening. Whether it was to just go there and sit and listen to the water as it passed by, if it was to go fishing, whatever it might be. But yeah, I've got a pretty close affinity to the way, to the water. Now that we live over in Tauranga, there's not so many nice rivers to go by, so we go to the ocean now. Go out to the ocean, go to the beach, but yeah, so I wanted this metaphorical thing to sort of reflect that, so navigating the river of my Matatini Ora journey. So when we think about an awa, when we think about a river, every river tells a story. Every river tells a story. And it was nice just sitting at the dinner table this evening talking to Mato Anaru, and he was talking about this river just out over here. And he was talking about Awahau, and he was talking about how there were certain areas along that awa that were set aside, and each family had their own area to go and wash their clothes. This was before washing machines, right? They had their washing boards out, and there were certain parts of the river that these washing boards would be, and he was even talking about how the washing boards even had names. and all of that. But every river tells a story. At every bend, there's a different story. Every part along that river is going to tell us a different story, and it's been like that on this Matatini Ora journey. So every river tells a story. My Matatini Ora journey has been a mix of calm waters, just like when you go to a certain river, there's areas where it's nice and calm. It's also been a mix of rapids. There's been areas where there's been a mighty rushing of water with obstacles in the way, creating those disturbances or those disruptions. And there's also unexpected bends or turns in the river too that sometimes we weren't expecting. And then there's other influences too, like when we have a deluge or a downpouring of rain, which causes the rivers to rise and flood and all that sort of stuff. Kapai, so that's a little bit about why I wanted to sort of relate this kōrero to the awa. So when we break this down and unpack it a little bit further in terms of my Matatini Ora journey, I'm going to talk firstly about the calm waters, the rapids, and then also the unexpected bends. So the calm waters, which talks about my strengths and highlights. So over the course of this year, there's been many of these. You know, in terms of strengths, I think we've had a very, very strong team leading this kaupapa. When I was first asked though to lead this kaupapa out this year, I was a bit apprehensive. I didn't really want to, but that was because of my own self-doubt and doubting my confidence and my ability to lead. This, I would have rather just come in and just been one of the kaiako and let somebody else lead it. So I think in terms of that, my leadership skills and things have developed. Successfully led the program, even though we're not quite to the end yet, but I think we've had a pretty successful campaign this time around because we've learned a lot from 2023.
Yeah.
We've made adjustments, we've made changes and things where we think changes were needed to make it easier for you as our akunga. We've built strong connections and collaborations, and also the quality of international recognised guest speakers was a highlight for me. And when you think about some of the guest speakers that we've had in particular, I absolutely love, even though we had her in 2023, I absolutely loved Linda Tuhiwai Smith. And even though I've heard Stu and Marama lots of times, I loved having them here when they came to share with us. And even the likes of Takurua who came along as well.
Yeah.
But just the calibre of the guest speakers that we came, and also not negating or forgetting Ihaka's relation, Shane, who came to talk to us about critical thinking. And so for me that was a real highlight in terms of the guest speakers that we had that come along to feed into this space for us. In terms of rapids, navigating challenges, and I think we can all relate to the first one in terms of managing priorities, trying to find that work-study balance and life balance, all those things. But I think for me, I think I managed those competing priorities quite well, even though they can be challenging. I think I managed them pretty well, and because on top of study and work and home life, family life, and all that stuff, there was a lot going on. And as many of you know, for the last year, I've been working on this other kaupapa for Potiri around Movember, which required a lot of my brain space. And so having to share my brain space between doing all the Movember application and all of that sort of stuff and the things that they were needing, as well as doing this and preparing for the weekly tutorials and other things that I do at work on top of the personal stuff. Sometimes it can just build up and build up and build up, but we don't want dams. We don't want dams in our awa whānau. There you go. We don't want to disrupt the flow of that awa. But yeah, I think I managed that pretty well. Learned some more things about myself in terms of performing under pressure. But again, as I've shared with you guys openly and transparently, sometimes when we do those things and we leave things to the last minute, like some of my weekly tutorial presentations, and then we see that things are missing or there are mistakes. But yeah, over and above all of that, I think it's been pretty good. Other challenges, having to adapt to unexpected shifts in our journey. So why I stuck that there is that we've had to navigate that, especially over our last few wānanga, where some of our teaching team have been pulled to other places. So trying to navigate those challenges has been quite difficult as well. But we just carry on because the mahi still has to be done, and we don't want to do a disservice for you guys that are on this journey. And so it's been a bit of navigating that, those unexpected shifts. And but one thing is this learning resilience and strategic thinking. And so, you know, when I got here this morning, I got here early, opened up, turned the lights on, turned the heaters on, and then I went for a ride downtown to go and get me a coffee. And then when I come back, oh, Whaia Louise and Matuanaru, they're doing some strategic thinking for me over there. They're planning my future for me. Hey, they're telling me what I'm going to do for my study. And they're telling me what I'm going to do for Matatini Ora next year. I was like, oh, we're not even there yet.
Planting the seed.
Oh. But yeah, but just learning resilience and this whole thing of strategic thinking. And for me, strategic thinking is just another way of critical thinking, I think. Yeah, and I like what Matuanaru was sharing at the dinner table and there around the critical thinking. I remember hearing a kōrero from this lady called, I was going to say Lois Lane. That is not her name.
Louise Lane.
Lane Clark is her name, Lane Clark. So Lane Clark is from Canada, if I remember correctly. But she developed this thing called, now how did she describe it? Thinking to think, I think. Thinking to think, I think. But it was about deep thinking. And when I think about it now, when she was talking about this concept of deep thinking, it was really just critical thinking. Yeah, and so this whole shift of just seeing beyond the seeing, and Matuanaru and I were talking about this at the table, was that strategic thinking or critical thinking is about peeling back the layers. Because one thing that Lane Clark talked about was that in order to get real deep thinking from people is that you have to go 3 layers deep, 3 layers back. It's not just the surface level stuff. And so that critical thinking teaches us to ask questions. Oh, why is that? Oh, why is that? But going 3 layers deep, 3 layers back. And so that's one thing that I've become appreciative of, is that critical thinking element. So some of the unexpected bends that have come up, surprises along the way. But in those surprises and in those unexpected moments, there's the potential for something great to come out of it. Like they always say that you know, a positive can always come out of a negative. You know, what some person or what something means, the original intention may have been something negative or bad. It can be turned around for the good. And so there's been lots of those moments along the way, but I've discovered a greater and deeper passion and appreciation for pūrākau as a methodology. You know, and that was, you know, because you guys know I like to share stories and I like to share pūrākau. But after having the kōrero from Linda Tuhiwai Smith and also from Stu and them, I have a greater appreciation now and a deeper understanding. Even going back to the kōrero from Moana Jackson, when he talked about listening to the stories of the land, having that deeper appreciation to the pūrākau. That we can use them as methodologies, that they're not just stories. They hold values. They hold a lot of information or stuff, like Linda Tuhiwai Smith said, where research is about rediscovering stuff that was already there. It's in the pūrākau. And so I have a greater passion and appreciation for that. Yes, we've encountered some unexpected collaboration opportunities, meeting up with different people and the organisations that they work with. yeah, there's opportunities like I don't know if I'm still going there next week, but we're supposed to go to an NZARE thing conference. Man, I was supposed to, I was supposed to come and then I wasn't coming and then.
It's next Wednesday.
Now you're going.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, but be prepared for unexpected collaborations or opportunities with other people or organisations, family. All right, because they come up. Also gained fresh perspectives on the creativity as well as the creative experience of collective impact of this particular cohort. Now, I've said this before, that many of you think that you came here just to be akonga, to come and learn from us, but I think our kaiako are in the same position as me, that we've come and we've learned a lot as well ourselves coming to these. Listening to the progress and listening to everything that you guys are doing and implementing and everything like that, there's learning in this for us too. And so I'm just blown away with the creativity of our group and also the collective impact that you guys are having in the areas where you are working. It's amazing. So keep up the good work. So Riverbank reflection, so key learnings so far. So I've just limited it here. So the importance of adaptability and persistence. So again, I'm reminded of the kōrero of when Stu and Marama were here, in terms of that Māori tinihanga stuff, being able to adapt. And that's a skill. That's a skill that you learn. Being able to read the room, being able to read a person. You might turn up and you might have a plan, but that plan might change at the last hour. Hey, so you have to be willing and ready to adapt and change. But you also have to be persistent in things too. When you get a no first time, don't just give up. Don't give up at the first no. Be persistent. Okay. Another key learning, strengthening my puna mātauranga. So that's what I was saying, that even though I'm coming and I'm sort of like lead facilitator of this, I'm filling my puna mātauranga. I'm filling my knowledge base, and I have been listening to all the kōrero that have been coming, but also reading all those awesome aromatawai. I'm filling my kete at the same time. Recognising the value of reflection and mentorship. So this is one thing that I didn't used to do a lot of, is reflection. Even though I get you guys to do it all the time. Hey, practice what you preach, me. Reflection. Reflection is actually an important part of practice. If we're not reflecting on how we can always improve and do better in serving our community and serving our people. Hey, so reflection is something that one of my key learnings this year is something that I need to do more of. And also mentorship. It's about raising others to come forward and start taking the reins. It's not that I always stand out there at the front and be the sage on the stage, but be more the guide on the side sort of thing, and bringing more people through, training them up. Because that's what leaders do, is that they train other leaders. That's what mentorship is about. Good leadership requires followship. You need people to follow you. That's how you know how good a leader is, those that follow. Because if you're out leading and you turn around and there's no one following, well then you're just out on a walk by yourself. Alright? So it's about mentoring others. So planning the next course. So looking ahead, so what does the next journey look like? Pursue higher level learning in the hauora, especially Tāne Ora. So my PhD journey is going to be based around Tāne Ora, specifically around men's health, because as we know, our men, in terms of life expectancy, is terrible. In terms of lots of areas of health, it's terrible. But we remember what did Kirsty tell us, the two areas where we're not terrible? Anorexia and
Instant melanoma.
and melanoma. Yeah. But in terms of other areas of men's health, not so good. So higher learning level, especially in that space, take on expanded responsibility. Here's me talking about I need to manage time better. Take on expanded responsibilities in my role at Paitiri. And explore innovative approaches to address inequities in Tāne order. So that'll be all part of my PhD journey in terms of what's ahead. Oh my goodness, way over time. The river flows on. Hey, the river flows on. Last one, Tāne. Summary and next steps. The river continues, and so does my journey of growth. So this is not the end, because around the bend, there's another bend, and around that bend, there's another bend. And so my journey continues. It doesn't stop here. And that's what we've always said to you guys, is that hopefully this is not the end for you. That this is just a springboard or a platform to bigger, better, brighter, greater things for you guys. Kapoi? And so that is the end. Alrighty, so that went a bit long. Yeah, so that was like 20 minutes.
Yes.
That was double
That was
time.
worth the 20 minutes.
That was a teaching moment.